if you guys haven't been living under a rock, right, we all know that Russia is bothering Ukraine for reasons are not exactly clear to me at this time. But they are fighting Ukraine right now, and they're, killing people. They're going in. This is the modern era, folks. The war is no longer fought with only bullets and bombs, but is also now fought with computers and code. So just to give you a little background for those that don't know, the Ukraine flag, it's blue and yellow, as you can see the colors behind me. That is the theme tonight. I do support Ukraine, by the way. So if you don't, you can go ahead and leave this stream. The Ukraine flag is blue and yellow, with the blue band symbolizing the blue skies over the fields of golden wheat, because Ukraine is one of the largest wheat producers in the world. So they make a lot of wheat. Russia is under sanctions from multiple countries, right? And a lot of private companies like, electronics companies, Apple and all them have stopped all business basically in Russia as well.
Russia did the same.
Nvidia did the same. So all these companies are self-sanctioning. The only thing that hasn't really been touched is oil, right? Because if we did that to Russia, then that would hurt the rest of the world. But BP and a few other companies, several other companies actually, have actually self-stopped doing business with them regarding oil. So that is also increasing gas prices here in the United States and the rest of the world. It's funny how when the oil price goes up, our gas prices follow the same week. But when the oil barrels go down, it takes a month for it to catch up. I just want to put that out there. So they're doing
Sounds like a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy. Well, it is OPEC, So that is cutting Russia off from critical supplies that, they need for making stuff, from medical components to tanks, because computer chips go in everything these days, right? So imagine being, a 20-something-year-old in Russia right now trying to build a gaming PC. It's going to suck. Can you imagine how much graphics cards are going to be? Right? They got a lot of distributed computing over there, right? We've seen the videos on YouTube. They have giant rendering farms that render blockchain images and stuff like that. And they have, huge installations that do deep machine learning and folding at home, because they really care about the human malware fight, So imagine now that country's all sanctioned off from all these things, they can't get it. I say all this because I'm trying to emphasize that the Ukrainian government has actually something called I wrote this down here. It's called the IT Army, right? They are counterattacking Russia, and they've actually gone as far as taking down their electrical grid. And they even did something quite funny on some of the charging stations in Russia. They rendered them inoperative temporarily, and the display on the charger says, quote, "Putin is a dickhead," which is quite funny. I think it's quite funny.
What do you mean charging stations?
Electric car charging stations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not like government tax collecting stations, no. Electric car charging stations. They rendered them interoperable and made it say a funny message on it, which is quite interesting. So with all that said, I'm saying, excuse me, GPU prices are basically going to go to 2021 April prices, right? Remember when 3090s were $3,000 a piece? Yeah. So I feel really bad for the people of Russia, because they are suffering from, that guy.
They're not steering the ship.
They're not steering the ship. Yeah, and they're on for the ride, and they got no choice. But I also feel bad for the people in Ukraine, because they're getting attacked by them. And come on, guys, these are real human lives that are getting lost. For what reason? Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to really get into all that. We don't have too much time for that. But what I'm trying to focus on is the technological aspect of war today. Is a lot of it's fought with code and computers and silicon instead of bullets and lead. So, Andrew, you got any thing about that?
Oh, man. No, not without getting too political. So, and I'm not a very political person in general. Not that, this isn't something that it's, well, basically, what you're saying is that Do you mean about the counterattack particular?
Yeah. The Ukrainian IT army that is countering
Yeah.
attacking Russia and taking down their grid and other critical infrastructure systems. And
Yeah, I mean, I think they're doing what they have to do. Part of these sanctions and whatever else isn't to, necessarily do immense harm to Russia as it is to, try and leverage them a bit into causing them to restrain. So I do find it interesting that like that stuff is just so hackable even by like top hackers that something like you don't think that I mean, I don't know. I won't go there, but you don't think that for instance like a top company or a top government would have such vulnerabilities even today. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, a lot of critical infrastructure still run on Windows 98.
Yeah, and
So
Windows 98 worked
What-
great.
it's in a closed
So-
system, allegedly.
Yeah, I would hope.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
They have a special contract with Microsoft. They're still getting updates on Windows 98. um, yeah, I don't know, but still, like it's surprising to me that something could be vulnerable in this day and age if it's run by any organization with that much money and power, because at any point they're only as good as their greatest weakness. So yeah, I mean, I think the whole situation's a sad situation. So yeah, I don't know much else to say about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, just an update on that, guys. It is something that is happening, and just wanted to emphasize on how war is very different today, and don't F with a country that has a lot of really good hackers.
Yeah,
I mean, they can
and
make your missiles hit yourselves. You know what I mean? Like everything's connected to the
Yeah.
internet at some point.
Yeah, and it's scary to think like if we don't have ways to keep those systems impervious to attack, like what's the future hold when we have even more computer powered weaponry?
Smart weapons. Not to get into it, but the first time a smart weapon was used to take human lives was when they launched this one missile, and the missile was programmed to detect tanks and things and follow that. It was actually a long time ago. It was like 20 years ago, like almost 25 years ago. Because the cutting edge technology, that missile cost a lot of money. Now skip to today, we have like automated systems that could take human lives, but we had a lot of ethics come into the equation since then. So now it's usually a human behind the actual action to start the taking of human lives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they must
it's,
have seen war games.
Yeah. Would you like to play a game? How about a little thermonuclear war?
Oh man.
Yeah, Soul7 in chat says, TekShinji, not to mention all the crypto donations. Yes, I don't know. I didn't look at their wallet in a while, but they got a lot. They got like millions and millions of dollars in crypto donations. Which, I mean, it's not a lot when you think about the bigger picture, but it's a lot of money. Like, it'll definitely help Ukraine out quite a bit. I am, for one, I don't usually like talk about my politics or anything, but I think in this case that most people can agree that attacking Ukraine is not cool. So